Okay, everybody. I'll give you a moment. If you happen to have 2 blocks around, this would be beneficial for today. If you don't have 2 blocks, let's see what our options could be. You don't necessarily need them, but it'll be certainly easier. You could use, like, if you have a bench, you could actually use a bench, or like a bunch of books. Anything to stack up that would make it even is a bit necessary, but taller will be helpful. So I'll give you a moment to kind of get creative with that if you don't own blocks. Books usually is the closest thing. But again, you won't need them. It'll just make the last pose a little bit easier on you if you do have them. And then we'll begin once you have them. I'm just going to actually give a shout out while I have these 2 blocks to Second Wind Health, who donated 20 blocks for our home studio here for chromatic yoga trainings. So thank you to Second Wind Health. All right. And I just need a little volume out of this. Okay. Okay, so today's class, one moment. We worked with Anugraha, which was revelation last time, and that's we talked about concealment as well. And today we're going to work with concealment more, and how I mentioned one thing that I want to say again now. Concealment is the place of most potential. When we are in a concealed state, that means we are at the place of the most potential. Think of a seed. Seed is the seed from a plant, a flower. That is the place of most potential for that seed. Eventually, it will have the revelation, hopefully, when it settles into the earth and enough water and sun come, and then eventually it starts to rise, and boom, the flower expands. And then that flower always gives off these seeds in the end, and those seeds again are now back into the place of most potential. They're in their concealed, constricted place. Now, we as humans tend to hate the place of concealment. When things seem to not go our way, when things are not flowing, when it feels like, right now in the middle of we're just about to burst into spring, but we're not quite there yet here in the northwest of Connecticut. And my wife and I have an ongoing joke, because every winter, once it hits, Rebecca always says, like, "Oh no, it's it's never gonna, it's always gonna be cold." That's like the mindset, is it's gonna be cold forever. And then when spring comes, there's always it never was cold. It's like she completely forgets that it was cold, and then when the start of winter happens, it's like it's never gonna get warm again. So we have an ongoing joke about that, because it feels like that's kind of what happens emotionally for all of us, is that when concealment happens, we feel like it's going to happen forever. And the thing is, when the revelation comes in, and our expansion into the world of manifestation, when everything starts to actually take shape and form in our life, then we forget about the concealment phase. So it would be beneficial for us if in those moments of revelation, in the expansion, in those revelatory moments, if we could remember, not for the sake of kind of re-experiencing the pain and the challenges or whatever, but just remember that in order for that revelation to have happened, we had to go through that concealment. That the concealment phase is what gave us that opportunity for the revelation. It provided us with the appropriate amount of challenges that made us stronger. It prepared us for the moment so that we could be excited for the revelation. And anybody knows that if you've gone through anything that's really been challenging in your life, and you've come out on the other end, and you've come out stronger, more powerful, more loving, more kind, more joyful, more light, more free, then you know that the tighter the concealment, the more drawn in it is, the greater the revelation. And so if we just keep remembering then instead of being so avoidant to the concealment phase, we'll actually be welcoming it as the place of most potential. Let me see if I can remember the Sanskrit term for concealment. I think it's tiradana. Let me look that up real quick so you have the word. Tiradana. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but that's the word for concealment, tiradana. And so for today's practice, we're going to intentionally conceal, intentionally create a contracted state for the body in order for the greatest amount of expansion, for the greatest revelation. We worked on the hip flexors the other day, and we're going to continue to activate the hip flexors, but now instead of through stretch, we're going to activate the hip flexors through contraction. So working them in a more, the hip flexors flex the hip, so that means the thigh bone comes closer to the chest. That's called flexion. And as the thigh bone comes closer to the chest, the hip flexors are what create that action. We'll continue with that, and we're going to be focusing on a particular hip flexor called TFL, tensor fasciae lata. And the reason, or what that muscle does, is it not only contracts in hip flexion, but it also internally rotates, it turns in, and it also does something called abduction, which is out to the side. So it turns the thigh in, it flexes the hip, and it moves the leg out to the side all at once. So knees go wide, thigh bones turn in, and thigh comes close to the chest. Now, for example, just so you understand, this posture here, if I wasn't using gravity to bow forward, but I was using my muscles, that would be TFL, because the thigh bones are turned in, the hips are in flexion, and the legs are abducted, they're out to the sides. So in this case, I'm using gravity, but if gravity didn't exist and I had to actually create that action, TFL would be the muscle. So we'll be doing a lot of TFL activation, and let's see where it takes us. All right, let's ready to get contracted. Tiradana. Come to child's pose, knees wide for now. Arms out in front, fingertips. Invite a breath in and exhale it out. We all crave the revelation. That place of fruition. That place where everything expands, takes form, and takes shape. It's called a nugraha. But concealment is where the revelation comes from. Concealment is the place of most potential. When things are not yet revealed, this is the opportunity for us to take shape and form, or to begin the process of taking shape and form. That could be in our daily life, something we're creating in business, family, friendships. It could be in an art piece, a song. It could be gardening, literally in nature, watching a seed. We plant it, water it, hope the sun shines, and at the right time it starts to take shape by digging roots into the ground. But this takes time. The first parts need to happen. The seed needs to be planted. So let's plant seeds for our practice. Seeds in the body. Do the hard work.
so that we can have the revelations. Walk your hands a little further in front and then place your palms down if your fingertips are there. So your knees are wide and your arms are reaching forward. Stretch the shoulders a little closer to the ears. Press your knees isometrically apart, like you're trying to push the mat apart, just gently so you can feel your outer hips engage. Can you imagine, think about your left knee for a second. Can you lift your left knee off the ground without actually moving? Just think about trying to lift the knee up. You may feel your hip flexors engage if you try to do it on a subtle movement. Like, don't actually lift it, but try to lift it. And you might feel the deep muscles right at the hip engage. That's what we're going for. Try the other side. Try to lift your right knee without actually lifting. Just try to lift it a little bit and see if you can get your hip flexors to activate. Now, most people probably can't, so don't feel ashamed if you can't find the hip flexor engagement. We'll get there. This is a little more subtle. We'll make it easier in a second. Okay. Come forward to all fours, hands and knees. Arch and look up. Tuck toes. Exhale. Point the feet round. Inhale, arch and look up. And exhale, point the feet and round. Inhale, arch and look up. And exhale, round. Again, inhale, arch, look up. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch, look up. Tuck your toes, keep them wide for now, and come up into your first downward facing dog. Feel free to kind of bend the knees and pedal out the legs a little, perhaps wagging your tail side to side. Come forward now into plank pose on the inhale and grip your fingers into the mat. Start to awaken the hands and the forearm muscles. So your fingers dig down and push the ground away so your shoulder blades become broad, your back becomes full. Take a full breath in and place the knees down, come to child's pose. Relax the hands for a moment. Inhale forward, all fours arch and look up. Exhale, tuck toes, downward facing dog. Let's move through that. Inhale, forward plank pose, fingers grip the ground, upper back full. And exhale, child's pose. Inhale, all fours, arch and look up. And exhale, downward facing dog. Right leg up to the sky behind you. Now, as you take it up, go slow. So don't just kind of like, fling the leg up. Go slow. And as you go slow, look at your big toe and point it straight down so your thigh bone is neutral, not externally rotating. Now, don't open up the hip too much. Also, don't collapse your right hip down. Keep it level the best you can. You can look at your pelvis and just kind of make sure it's not opening up or closing too much. But your kneecap and your thigh are facing straight down. Three-legged dog. Take a full breath in. Now as you exhale, step right foot forward. Come up onto the fingertips. Excuse me while I tuck in my shirt so my microphone doesn't hit my face. On your fingertips, we take a breath in and exhale it out. Look at your back thigh. Lift your inner left, actually bend your left knee for a second. Turn your knee out for a moment so you can feel what external rotation is like. Spin the thigh bone in until the kneecap faces straight down. And then as you do so, lift through your inner left leg up. Take a full breath in. Exhale it out. Now keeping your inner left leg up, squeeze your feet toward each other. Take a full breath in. And exhale it out. Now keeping your back inner thigh lifted, inhale, straighten the front leg, look forward. Exhale and bow. Bend the front knee, inhale. Keep pulling your feet toward each other. Exhale, straighten and bow. Feet still pull, especially the back leg, inner thigh lifting. Inhale. Exhale. Inner thigh lifting in the back leg. Inhale, bend. Step back, down dog. Inhale, forward plank. Knees down, child's pose. Inhale, forward, all fours, arch. Exhale, down dog. Left leg to the sky. Step left foot forward. Come up onto your fingertips. Sorry, I missed the three-legged dog. We'll get back to that in a second. On your fingertips, let's just sit here for a second. Turn your right knee out with your right thigh turned out. Just look at your thigh and call that external rotation in your head. Then spin the thigh bone inward. Keep it slightly turned in. So not fully turned in, but like in enough that your kneecap faces straight down. And then as you lift your inner right leg up, think kind of turning the thigh bone in as the inner leg goes up. So straighten the knee joint. That's your quadriceps. Keep the thigh rotating in. Now pull your back. I like press my ball mound of the foot down and then pull it towards my front heel. So you feel the hip flexors at the inner thigh right here, the pectineus muscle, one of your adductors. Keeping that, take a full breath in. Exhale it out. Back inner thigh stays lifted. Inhale, straighten the leg and bow. Inhale, bend knee, pull feet toward each other. Exhale, straighten, bow. Inhale, bend knee. And again, exhale, straighten and bow. Inhale, bend knee. Let's do that three-legged dog I missed. Place the palms down on the ground and sweep the left leg slowly back and up, big toe facing straight down, even your pinky toe. Don't collapse the pelvis like so. Keep it slightly lifted, but rotate. Can you notice a difference? Actually, let's do that. Bend your left knee a little bit. Rotate the thigh bone out like this, and then rotate it in a few times. Rotate in and out so you can feel the difference. Okay? And then pause. Keep the knee bent for now and open the pelvis a couple of times and notice the difference between the pelvis and your femur bone moving, okay? When the pelvis moves, it's actually the bottom hip that's moving. When the thigh bone moves, it's the top hip. Okay, straighten the leg and release. Come forward to plank pose. Place the knees down, come to child's pose. Inhale, all fours. And this time, lean forward and lower onto the ground. Now, some people have mentioned in this training and in April's training as well, that it's hard on to do it on fingertips with Cobra. One thing is it's the thumb that really takes the weight. The next thing is if you're thinking that this pose is going to get you up higher than pressing like this, it's not. And that's the difference is we're not going for height for lift like this. We're going for depth of vertebral movement, which is different. So this pose right here is actually deeper on the inside because more vertebrae have been moved than, say, this pose right here, which just forces the movement in a few vertebrae. It looks taller, but it is not as deep. So we're interested in getting to know our body more. So here, your thumbs are down, fingertips are here. Now, of course, if that just really hurts your fingers, you can be on palms, just it's tempting to push. We don't want to push, okay? We want to pull, so the fingers are even light. Start rounding the back, inhale. Exhale, soften, shoulders back behind you. From inside your abdomen, lift up. Exhale, release. 2 more just to get wake in the back. Inhale, round. Exhale, shoulders back, heart forward. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Heart forward, forward, forward. And release. 1 more time. Inhale. Shoulders back. Inhale.
Release. All fours, inhale. Tuck toes, down dog. Walk your feet slowly to the front of the mat. Keep them wide, so wider than hip width apart today. Take your fingertips out in front. Lift your heels up and soften your knees. Spin your left thigh bone in and out a few times so you can feel the difference. And then finish with it turned in and place the heel down. Then do the same on the right side. Spin it in and out a few times. And then finish with it turned in so your heels are out, toes are in. Now keeping that, press outward with the back of your legs. Push your heel bones out until you feel your outer hip muscles. And if you actually continue this, you might feel your TFL, which is outer front of the hip. So stick your buttocks up and lift your chest up as you push the heels out. Take a full breath in. Exhale, bow. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and bow. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and bow. All right, walk the feet in a little bit closer. Rest your chest on your thighs. Let's give a shoulder stretch. Take the hands to the low back. Squeeze your shoulder blades toward each other and reach the hands overhead. Full breath in and out. Inhale and exhale. One more breath. And place the hands to the hips. Inhale, arch the upper back and rise to stand. By the way, I'm not sure if you can hear it in the microphone, but there's a bird that keeps flying into our window and making a bunch of noises. So we're not quite sure what's going on, but it thinks it could come inside. So if you hear that pop, 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 that's the bird. Apologize for that. Couldn't figure it out for the little girl or boy. Come to Tadasana. Take a full breath in and out. Inhale, reach the arms up to the sun. Exhale to the earth. Halfway lift, inhale. Left foot slips back as you exhale. Back inner thigh lifts, hands come to the front leg. Pull your feet toward each other. Back thigh is spinning inward. Holding the back inner thigh lifting. Take the arms up on the inhale. Exhale here. Let's warm up the front leg a little bit. Inhale, straighten the front leg. Exhale, bend. Don't sink, but just bend. Stay lifted in the back inner thigh. Inhale, straight. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straight. Exhale, hands to the ground as you bend. Plank pose, inhale. Chaturanga. Slide hands wide. One time, inhale, round, cobra. Exhale, softness. Inhale, lengthen. Heart forward though. Release. All fours. Downward facing dog. In your down dog, push the back of your hamstrings, the back of your legs, outward. Full breath in and out. One more, inhale and exhale. Lift the heels, inhale, look forward. Step or hop to the front of the mat. Half lift. And exhale, bow. Rise to the sun, Urdhva Hastasana. Hands to heart, Samasthiti. Rise up, inhale. Bow, Uttanasana. Ardha Uttanasana. Right foot steps back as you exhale, pause. Back inner thigh lifts up, press down through the front heel, hands on the front leg. Okay, check in with your back thigh, make sure the inner thigh is lifting, back knee is straight. Now press down through the left heel again and lift tall. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale it out. Keep the back inner thigh lifting. Inhale, straighten the front leg. Exhale, bend. Back inner thigh lifting. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Back inner knee presses up. One more, inhale. Exhale, hands to the ground as you bend. Plank pose, inhale. Lower down, chaturanga. Slide hands wide, fingertips, inhale round. Soften. Inhale, lengthen. And release. All fours or plank pose. Exhale, down dog. 3 breaths, inhale. Exhale. Inhale, press the backs of your legs apart. Exhale. Inhale. Lift the heels up, look forward. Empty the breath, hopper step. Half lift, inhale. Exhale, bow. To the sun, rise, Urdhva Hastasana. Hands to heart, Samastitihi. Inhale, reach all the way up. Uttanasana. Halfway lift. Step or hop, chaturanga. Slide the hands wide. Inhale, round. Soften heart in front. Inhale, lift and lengthen. And release. Plank or all fours. Inhale. Exhale, down dog. Right leg to the sky. Inhale. Step forward as you exhale. Rise, high lunge. Inhale. Chaturanga, exhale. Up dog this time, knees down if you like. Exhale, down dog. Left leg to the sky, inhale. Step. High lunge, rise. Chaturanga. Inhale, up dog or cobra pose. Exhale, down dog. Full breath in. And out. Inhale. And exhale. One more. Lift heels up, look forward. Empty breath, hopper step. Half lift, inhale. Exhale, bow. To the sun, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana. To your heart, exhale. Bend the knees, chair pose preparation, hands on the thighs. Lift your toes up. Press the back of your legs apart. So push your hamstrings. You can use your hands on your hamstrings, pull them apart like so, and follow that action to your outer hip here. You can pull the outer greater trochanter. It's a bone on the outer hip. Kind of pull it forward on both sides. That will help you kind of feel the internal rotation of the femurs that you have here. And if you do that, you'll start to feel these muscles along the outer hip. So consistently consistently turn in the thigh bones without the kneecaps kind of rolling in. You're just muscularly activating the internal rotators. Keep turning in and lift the belly up. Inhale, reach the arms up. Hold here, exhale. Press your big toe and pinky toe down. Full breath in. Exhale it out. One more full breath in. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Halfway lift, inhale. Step or hop, chaturanga. Slide the hands wide. Inhale, round. Soften. Inhale, lift from inside. And release. All fours or plank. Exhale, down dog. Right leg to the sky, inhale. Step forward as you exhale. Push down, rise, high lunge. Open warrior two. Hold here, take a full breath in. And take your hands to the hips as you exhale. All right, so look at your back leg for a second, soften the knee. With the knee soft, lift your heel and spin the thigh bone slightly in, place the heel back down. Now, when you do that slight turn in, see if you can feel your inner thigh muscle, your adductor turn on without rolling the inner foot. Okay, so keep the outer edge of the foot there while spinning the thigh bone. And what will probably happen is this front knee kind of wings in. Okay, you're gonna try to use your outer hip muscles here. You can press your hand into your your knee into your outer hand here while pressing the inner thigh back here. Now you're gonna feel sort of awkward because this is probably new for you, okay? Now, gently tuck the tailbone, gentle, like a little movement underneath. Then carry it upward through the abdomen. Then take the arms out to the sides. Take a full breath in and out. Back thigh spinning in. Inhale. And exhale. One more full breath in. And out. Flip the right palm. Inhale, reverse warrior. Warrior two again, exhale. Two more times. Inhale, reverse. Warrior two. One more round. Exhale, hands to the ground. Plank pose, inhale. Chaturanga. Slide the hands, inhale round. Softness. Now from inside, lift. And if that carries the rest of the body up, great. But don't push your way up. And release. All fours or plank. Exhale, down dog. Left leg to the sky. Step. Push down, rise. Open up. Okay, hands, actually take one breath in, sorry. Now hands to the hips. Soften the back knee. Spin your thigh bone in, so your heel lifts up. Spin the thigh bone in a little bit. Then place the heel back down. As you're doing that, think inner thigh bone lifts up and back. So that's going to be rotation inward of the back leg. Now the front knee is going to wing in as a result. So you're going to take your hand to your knee and press your knee out against that. But you see how the hips are back. We want to keep that. Okay, so back inner thigh pulls up and back. Your butt sticks out. Your front knee presses down and out into the heel. Now, keeping the groins back, the hips back, slowly start to tuck the tailbone. That'll activate your gluteus maximus. And lift the chest. Take the arms out to the side. Keep fighting yourself. So back thigh is turning in. Front thigh is rotating out. They're in opposition. Hips are back. Keep pressing down through the front heel. Breathing in. Three reverse warriors. Inhale, lift up. Exhale. Again. Exhale, release, hands to the ground. Inhale to plank pose. Exhale. Slide hands wide, round, inhale. Soften heart in front of shoulders, shoulders behind the heart. Pull the heart through and up. And exhale, release. One of the reasons, bring your hands in, one of the reasons I always do push back to all fours, eventually plank for many of you, is this is what's called concentric contraction of the muscles. In Chaturanga, we're always eccentrically contracting. The muscles are engaging
while we are lowering down and while they are shortening. And concentric contraction is another side of the muscle activation that we need to build in order for balance. That is, the muscle engages as it shortens. Sorry, the other way I said it wrong. Eccentric is when the muscle engages while it's lengthening. Concentric is when it shortens and engages. So that's what we want to do here. We want to shorten the muscle and engage it and push in the plank pose so that we develop the right amount of power in the muscles that helps us develop the health. Okay, so for every chaturanga, we should be doing a push-up to help develop the appropriate amount of muscle activity, neurological stimulus, to help us really develop health in the muscular system. Now, a lot of us avoid that contraction, like push-ups or pull-ups or things that really shorten a muscle. That's a contracted state for the muscular system. We avoid that place of contraction, which is the place of concealment. It's the place of most potential. We avoid it in our muscular system. We avoid it in life. So we try to open to what muscular concealment or contraction feels like, and we try to practice it so we start getting our mind prepared for it in real life. Lift the heels up, look forward. Empty your hopper step to the front. Half lift, inhale. Exhale and bow. Bend knees, chair pose, inhale. Stand up, hands to heart. Chair pose, inhale. Exhale, bow. Half lift, inhale. Chaturanga Dandasana. Up dog or cobra pose, one breath only. Exhale, down dog. We're going to flow through the poses we know. Right leg to the sky, inhale. Step forward. Push down, rise, high lunge. Open warrior two. Reverse, inhale. Exhale, chaturanga right through it. Cobra or up dog, one breath in. Exhale, down dog. Left side on the in-breath. Step. Push down, rise. Open warrior two. Reverse. And exhale right through chaturanga. Up dog or cobra pose. And exhale. Downward facing dog. Breathing in and out. Try to observe the sensations of your body now as you're moving, as your heart is pulsing. For every expansion of the heart, there's a contraction. There's a concealed place where the heart draws everything in, squeezes and pumps the blood through our system. When we start to learn to invite the contracted states, we learn to invite the concealment phases of life and stages of everything. Then we embrace the full process, the full, what we call the journey, right? Every journey has a concealment phase. It's the only way for something to work. That's just a law of nature. If you observe it, you'll see it everywhere. Lift the heels up, look forward. Empty the breath, hopper step. Half lift, inhale. Exhale and bow. Inhale, chair pose. Let's add on here. Take your hands to the tops of your knees. With your hand on your left knee, you come up onto your left toes or toe mound. Turn the leg inward, internal rotation, and press the knee into your hand towards your opposite shoulder. So I'll just mirror you. So you turn in and you press the knee as if you're trying to bring it to your opposite shoulder. So you'll get your hip flexors. And if you feel this muscle on the outer hip here, it's called a TFL. It's a nice meaty muscle, tensor fascia lata, or tensor fascia latte if you prefer. Okay, you know me, I prefer a latte. Now too much milk. Okay, come on up, other side. Squeeze, turn in, and pull up towards the opposite shoulder. You see the hand is resisting the knee is pressing, it's going to get your TFL and your groin muscles activated. And your hip flexors. So now we're activating through a shortened position, whereas the other day we were learning to activate through a lengthened position. Okay, come back to center. Both are important. Learning how to activate a muscle through the entire range of motion ultimately. So activating muscle when it's short, activating muscle when it's long, both important. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, bow. Halfway lift, inhale. Chaturanga, step or hop. Cobra or up dog, one breath though, inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right leg to the sun, inhale. Step right foot behind your wrist this time, so a little wide. And back foot, turn it out slightly for setting up for warrior one, okay? Press your right heel down and micro tuck your tailbone underneath in order to rise up. The back thigh is externally rotated, but without twisting at the knee joint, you're gonna try to move your inner groin back, and that will stick your butt up slightly. Okay, then the front leg, you're gonna try to tuck your bone against the back thigh. So the thigh is rotating in and giving you anterior tilt, but the front buttocks tries to tuck underneath, giving you posterior tilt. They're playing tug of war with one another. This is often what it feels like in concealment phases. When we are in that state of contraction, there's a lot of stuff at work, fighting with one another. It feels like a lot of resistance. It feels like a lot of tension. And what that does is it makes us stronger. The two muscles working against each other makes each of them stronger. Okay, so hold on to that. Back inner thigh lifts, buttock scoops underneath. They're fighting each other. So glute muscles of the front hip, back inner thigh, and outer hip muscles of the back hip. Hold that. Lift the belly, take the arms up. Reach up. Full breath in and out. Look up. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Inhale. Lift up, and release the hands behind the back. Interlace. Shoulders go up and back. Sway your hips a little to the right. Bow to the inside of your right knee so your shoulder comes on the inside of your knee, and then stretch the arms. If your shoulder is on top of your knee, move your torso to the left. Two more. One more. And release hands to the inside. Inhale, lift the heart. Straighten the front leg slowly. And bend the elbows and bow. So you're still, you can see I'm in the inside with my torso of my leg, bowed inward. Now here, without straining at all, so don't strain the hamstring. If you're already in deep stretch, stay. Without straining, see if you can lift your kneecap up like you're trying to activate your quads. Hold. Okay, bend the knee. Step back, down dog. Pause here for a moment. Feel the right hip and left hip. Let's even it out. Left leg to the sky. Step behind your left wrist. Back foot out a little bit and turns down. So the toes are still facing out. Rise up. Virabhadrasana 1. Okay, from this position here, the back inner thigh pulls in and up. So it's like it tips your pelvis forward a little. So the inner thigh lifts. Then against that, your front buttocks tries to scoop underneath, but not at the expense of the back thigh, right? So they're both winning. The back inner thigh lifts, and against that strength, the left buttock scoops. Think back inner thigh lifting and going back, front sit bone underneath. Hold, playing a little tug of war, really contracting or concealing or holding inward, pulling energy inward to the core here. And lift the belly up. Turn your ribs. And inhale, reach the arms up. Hold here. Keep pressing the left heel down. One more breath. Release the hands. Interlace behind your back. Turn your tailbone slightly so you can bow inside of your left knee and then stretch the arms. Still thinking the back inner thigh lifts up. When I say that, what I'm saying is I'm cueing, if you're doing that, it's starting to cue your internal rotators of your back thigh. Okay, so by lifting your inner thigh up, it's spinning your femur bone in the hip joint. So again, we're still going for that internal rotation. Drawing inward is the key for today. In drawing ourselves inward is a concealment place. And that inward rotation or the inward movement is what helps us go towards that place of infinite, vast potential of intelligence that is all things. We call Brahman is the word for that experience. Not the experience, that it's the word for all there is. Everything and nothing all at once. Can only go there into that state when we are in a contracted state, concealment. Okay, release. Now, hands stay on the inside. Sorry about that. Straighten the front leg and bow, keeping your torso inside the thigh if possible. Now, you'll notice my knee is bent here. Okay, so I don't strain the hamstrings. But I'm going to try to activate the quadriceps by pulling my kneecap up. Okay, so the quads activate without straining the hamstrings. I'm not trying to overly straighten the knee, but I am trying to isometrically activate the quads, which are the muscles that do straighten the knee. So you have to be mindful that you don't I'm not pressing the joint down like this. Okay, I'm just pulling upward, pulling the shin bone up into my hip. It's a little bit hard to kind of grasp that concept, but I think for right now, thinking lifting the kneecap is going to get the job done. All right, bend the knee. Now let's step back and observe what you've experienced so far. All right, walk the feet to the front of the mat. Bend the knees, hands to the hips, arch the back and rise all the way up to stand. All right, so far so good. Thanks for working hard over here. Let's take the feet wide, bend the knees like goddess pose. Sit down and move your groin, so stick your butt back. And with your butt back, press your heels, the outer edges of your feet. You see how I'm lifting my inner edges up? Press the outer edges of your feet down and then squeeze your feet toward each other with the outer edges of the feet down. Then press your big toe without rolling the ankle joint. Reach your big toe towards the ground. Holding that, groins back, lift the heart. Take the arms out to the side. 2 more breaths. Knees wide, squeeze feet in so you feel the adductors. Take your fingertips to the ground now. Spin your thigh bones as much inward as you can, and then reach the heels outward, stick your butt up, and pause. So variation of Prasarita Padottanasana. Feet don't go too wide with them, just as much, see they're about, I'd say, double hip width apart. Stick your buttocks up, lift your heart up. Pause here, bow. Full breath in. One more full breath in. Come on up. Take a seat. All right, so let's do this. Take your hands back behind you and bring your left foot off to the left side off of your mat. Turn the thigh bone out, kneecap out, and then do the opposite. Turn the thigh bone in as if you were going to windshield wiper the leg. And then bring the leg out so that your knee is diagonally outside of your pelvis. I will mirror. So if you're here, you're going to bring the leg out so the thigh bone is a little bit off on an angle. keeping that lifted up, and that should target exactly at your TFL there. Then try to straighten the leg. Bend, straighten, bend, straighten. I'm sure you're having a great time with this. Ooh. Keep it internally rotated. I noticed that I just started to lose it. Okay, and release. There you are. So just externally rotate it a couple times, internally rotate it. Okay, pause with it internally rotated as much as it goes. The hip is up off the ground, by the way. And then move it out a little bit so you're on a diagonal. Okay, so I'm mirroring you right now. This leg too. Let's see if we can get this going. Internally rotate. Now, see if you can keep the knee from lowering, but keep it internally rotated. That's 1. Tap, keep it internally rotated. Again. Tap, keep it internally rotated. Let's do 2 more. Okay, that was fun, wasn't it? All right, so now come back to your yoga mat. Let's do Navasana boat pose, but instead of your traditional boat like this, we'll do knees wide, arms on the inside like so. First, fingertips. You'll take one knee, turn it in, reach it up. The other knee, turn it in, reach it up, and then lean back and reach your hands through. Turn your thigh bones in, hold. So you're using your TFL, your outer hip muscles, by turning the thighs in, keeping the legs wide, and trying to do hip flexion. Okay, straighten the knee joints, make sure that they're straight, and try to compress this as much as possible. Make it as tiny as possible. Bring the thighs as close to your chest as possible. Turn the thighs in, and release. Cross-legged seat is nice. Woo! That was intense. Love that. So thigh bones turn in, feet wide, compressing the thighs as close to the chest as possible. Bringing them as close in as possible. Shall we do it again? I know you're excited. You can feel the concealment in your emotions, can't you? I can. Like, no, I don't want to. Let's try it again. So feet wide. We want to tip the pelvis up as much as possible. That's what creates the hip flexion. And we want to bring the thigh bone as close to the shoulder as possible. Here you go. Reach your arms out in front. Keep the thighs rotated in and extend. Hold. Big toes reach the way. Turn the thigh bones in, kneecaps in. Compress the body and the thighs as close as possible. Straighten the knees. Let's do 2 more breaths. Close it up. Turn in, turn in, turn in, and release. Cross leg. Ooh. Okay. Shall we try something maybe a little bit easier? Yeah, please. Maybe just watch me one round. So what you'll do first is you'll come into you'll hold your hands onto your knees, and you'll reach your arms up, and you'll take your knees just outside the arms. Then you'll start to straighten the legs, but turn the knees in as you straighten the legs. Try not to roll back or touch the ground like I just did. Just try to compress. Okay, like a crazy dead bug. So here we go. On your back, pull your knees in, tuck the tailbone, lift your chest up off the ground. Thighs on the outside of your arms, turn the legs in, straighten the legs without falling back onto your feet. Keep your head and upper back off the ground if you can. Turn it in with the legs and release. Press the back of your head down so your neck muscles in the front release and the back neck muscles engage. So press the back of your head down into the mat so that your back neck muscles engage, releasing the front neck muscles. You can even massage these muscles, especially after something intense like that. When you really work them, you can massage a little bit here, which might be feeling really constricting if you have any throat constriction. But usually we get esoteric on you. Throat chakra stuff, meaning the right to speak, the right to be heard, the right to share your truth, all that kind of stuff. If you feel held back in that area, either now or in your life, then these muscles tend to be hard to massage. Okay, so you just give them a little love. All right. That means we got one more. So Pull your knees in, reach the arms up, turn the legs in as you straighten the legs, and do a sit-up, rounding the back as much as you can without touching the ground. The only thing touching the ground is the right at the bottom of your shoulder blades, the back of your low heart. Straightening the legs, reaching up, and release. Again, press the head back into the ground, massage neck muscles. All right, let's take half happy baby here. We're not cooling down, FYI. So your right foot's on the ground, your left hand grabs your heel, and your right hand pushes the knee out as you bring the heel down. So hand pushes the knee out to align the knee joint, and you bring the leg down like so. Now, if that works for you, see how my toes are face out, then you want to go deeper. You straighten this leg here and still press the knee out. You can use your elbow too sometimes to help that out, but make sure the foot doesn't sickle in like this. Turn the foot out and use your fibularis muscles, the muscles along the shin here, to do what's called eversion. My April Pass members, remember that from the first class, really worked on that everting ankle. Those fibularis muscles, employ them here. Or if you're in the Elements of Mastery online training, and then you know all about those. Okay, release. Let's do half happy baby on the other side. Again, this hand comes to the knee to push it out, and this hand to the heel to draw it down. Holding that, flexing the foot, everting the foot, and then the option to stretch the leg. One more breath. All right, cross the ankles and sit on up. Take your right leg back, left leg forward into lizard, but we'll do a little bit crazy version today. So your back foot comes in, stick your bum up. Again, we're not cooling down just yet. Stay with me energetically. Keep your breath flowing. Stick your buttocks up, bring the elbows down. Now squeeze your thigh bone in and lift your heel up. Then as you squeeze it in, turn the knee inward, and you can see my pinky toe is starting to draw inward as well. Hold that and take your hand, if possible, outside. Then push the heel down and out eventually again, and bow your head. You could also grab the ankle bone like this, bring yourself a little bit lower. And come on up. And let's switch to the sides. Back foot comes in a little bit. Stick your bum up to the side. Come on down. You can always use a block for that. Lift the heel up. Spin the leg in a little bit so your thigh turns in and squeezes in. And then place the heel out slightly. Bring your hand underneath. Maybe grab your ankle. And bow for this version of lizard. Concealment is the place of most potential. The yogi willingly puts them in the place of concealment constantly for the sake of growth, learning, and transformation. As we know, in that concealment is where our potential exists. All right, come on up. Come into Malasana squat pose. And kind of rock a little back and forth to wiggle yourself down a little lower. And if you can, take your hands wide like this and with your butt up. So hips are up. Instead of sitting down this way, your hips are up like this. And bow like a little turtle shell around your back. Look at your navel. Keep your hips up above so your calves are not taking any pressure from the legs. All right, and release. So, we do Titi Vasana is the pose, which requires a lot of hip flexor strength through internal rotation. This variation, at least that I'm going to show you, is internally rotating the thigh bone and straightening the leg while maintaining activation of the hip flexors. So again, that muscle is called a TFL, tensor fasciae lata. This pose is a very constricted posture. If you pay attention to the constriction, then what happens is you're able to do the expansion. If you're focused on the expansion, you will not have the right amount of strength inside your core to make it easy. So for right now, you see how I'm in the most compressed state I can be. This is Titivasana right here. The only difference is my knees are bent. Okay, so Titivasana, I believe they call it firefly in English. You take your blocks, or if you don't have blocks, your hands go behind your heels. And this is why, say I do this little lobster claw thing. You can do like this little bug walk if you like. But if this position here is hard to get into, then the rest is going to be even harder. My suggestion is you put a couch pillow back here, because everyone, first time they do this, they fall right on the tailbone and it's not so comfortable. Okay, so put a couch cushion behind your bum, or lots of blankets, and put the blocks, if you have them, behind your heels with your fingers turned out. Everybody gets this wrong, but you see how my hands are turned out on the blocks here? Okay, and and a lot of people do this, which is the opposite. Okay, arms between your legs, grab the blocks and sit down. First step here is just being able to sit enough that your feet get light. Okay, that's what the couch cushion's for. Squeeze in with the legs. And now here's the hard part. You might just want to watch this, okay? You turn the legs in, which means your feet will go out if you turn your thigh bones in, keeping your legs in hip flexion, extend. So you turn in, and as you turn in, you really try to squeeze in. Turn in, squeeze in, and keep compressed in the hip joint. So you're in that hip flexion, okay? Turn out, I go down. If I turn in, I go up. Out, down, in, up. Okay, so that internal rotation again, while your legs are out like this, and in hip flexion is going to activate your tensor fasciae lata. That muscle, again, is a hip flexor, an abductor, means bringing the legs apart, and an internal rotation, turn the thigh bones in. Now, if that muscle is on the weaker side, then that rotation of the thigh bones in is going to be very hard, and you'll be extending your legs and they'll be shaking like this. But as soon as you can really rotate in and get the TFL active, that's when the straightening of the legs will happen. So the more you contract, the more you conceal and close it in and turn it in and draw in, the easier it will be for that greater expansion. Okay, so let's try it. Couch cushion behind you, maybe even between the blocks. You take your feet, like you're gonna do malasana, but with feet wider a little bit. And you take your hands between the legs, grab the blocks like so, turned outward with your hands. The hands turned outward gives your wrist a little bit of a break. Sit onto your elbows. I'm going to turn from the side so you can see another angle here. You sit onto your elbows like so, and pause, and just work with leaning back by lifting your heels up. Okay, so you lean back by lifting your heels up. Should be a couch cushion behind you just in case. Hands are turned out. Now squeeze in and start to turn in maybe one leg and maybe the other leg. You can play back and forth. I'll show that from the front side. Turn in, then you turn both legs in and extend using your lovely TFL and quadriceps. Turn in, yes, and release. Turn in and squeeze in. I'm sure you're going to want to try that again. Most people do. Turn in and squeeze in. One more round maybe. Really work that first part where you turn in one leg, you turn in the other, and make sure you got something underneath your bum, because you probably already fell. If you haven't yet, then make sure it's still there. There's something there for you, okay? Play around, have a little more fun. Yeah, if you have, some of you are a little bit more advanced in your experience of Titivasana, the next step would be going to crow, and I'll show you. I'll show you what that's like. You might put a cushion in front of your face, so you would go here, hands wide, and then you would turn in even more with one leg to bring it around, Turn in more the other leg. Bring it around. And there you are in Bakasana, crow pose. Turn in, sweep it around. Turn in, sweep it around. So the same actions are true in order to go from TT to crow to Bakasana, or whatever you want to call it. Some people call it crane. All right, shall we cool down? Hopefully you've had some fun. Let's take the right shin across the yoga mat for pigeon pose. And I like to bow off to the left, target the hip muscles a little bit more. And that concealment, the turning inward, is the place of most potential. The place where we can tap into the source within us. And the place where we can most readily, most easily connect to Brahman, the infinite source of intelligence inside of us. Most people find the practice of yoga in those times of most concealment, when, in other words, rock bottom hits. That's where we find, typically, most of us find yoga in those places. And then we fall in love with the practice for helping us move out of it. The real magic is in that rock bottom place. Not that we're trying to get there, of course, but if we are there, to remember that here is the place of most potential, and you can start climbing your way back to the place of expansion, anugraha, revelation. You start working your way back if you turn inward, meaning you turn your attention inward towards the infinite source of consciousness within. And if you weren't here for the meditation yesterday, be sure that you kind of get in there, because it's necessary for this conversation to make more sense. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of nonsense. Okay, come back. Feel the sensations of your body here. Take a full breath in. And out. Left shin across the mat. Back thigh turns in and reaches back. Maybe you bow to the right like I do. Or if you have your own variation, that's okay. We turn our attention inward to the source, to that ever-flowing current of energy that is inside of this physical body, that is pulsing through our mind, that is allowing our breath to move. In there exists all we ever need. And by journeying to touch this place, we tap into our potential, and we may take that potential and take the steps towards the ultimate manifestation of it, bringing it to form. And it is this play back and forth between concealment and revelation that brings joy to our life once we understand it's there, and once we know how to play with it. Instead of feeling like life does it to us, it's more like a game. We appreciate the small hoop to get the ball through, rather than saying, oh, I wish that hoop was bigger so I could just score the ball in the hoop all the time. I start to embrace the challenge of putting the ball into the smaller hoop and become more skillful at it. Some of us in life would prefer that hoop to become bigger, and others just simply sharpen the skill of placing the ball in the hoop. May we do that as yogis, sharpen our skill to play within the rules, meaning within the laws of nature, within the laws of consciousness, and just become more skillful at the beautiful play of consciousness itself. Come on out. Take both legs out in front. Feet wide. And one of my favorite postures to turn inward, Paschimottanasana. First, tip at the pelvis by pulling the buttocks back and tipping the
sit bones, sorry, the ASIS, the hip bones forward. And those of you that are flexible, you start to round. What I mean by flexible is in the hamstrings. If you're flexible in the hamstrings, round the back and bow in, tuck the chin at the end. Now, if you're not so flexible in the hamstrings, better to stay upright and work the low back muscles so your pelvis tips forward more. You could even have your hands back behind you like this so that you work the low back muscles here. But once you are, stomach on thighs, then you do want to work the quadriceps, activating the quads will straighten the knees a little bit. And you do want to round the back, activating your core, and draw the chin in the chest to stretch the distance from sacrum all the way up to occiput. The base of your cranium. You might even feel it all the way to your forehead if you tuck your chin. All right, come on up. Spin around so the heads are at the front of the yoga mat. Lay on down. A little hug of the knees into the chest. Give yourself a little love. And stretch out into Shavasana. Full breath in. And out. Relax the teeth and the jaw. Relax the outer body. So you can turn your mind inward to that ever-flowing source of energy inside, consciousness itself. Turn inward to the place of your highest potential. Bring your attention back to your breath. Deepen your inhales and exhales. Waken the fingers and the toes, the wrists and the ankles. Stretch the arms overhead. And roll to your side. Come up to a seated position. The hands come to heart center. With gratitude, we bow inward. Even that humble bow inward is paying respect to the concealment, the drawing inward, the place of highest and most potential within us. Tirodhana, concealment. Thank you so very much for practicing. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for your efforts. Namaste. Beautiful. Yes. Well, thank you so much. The next class will be on Thursday, 12 noon. Hope to have you there. If you haven't joined the Facebook group already, please do so. A link came in an email. If you're not getting those emails, please check your subscription. Sometimes it changes if you were subscribed, and then sometimes your email provider sometimes puts it in spam. So check that. The Facebook group, I'd love to hear from you and see how your practice is going. Please share your experience of the physical practice so far, and anything with your meditation as well would be awesome. And see you on there. Looking forward to connecting that way. Take care. Have a great day.